Morning, everybody. This is a Friday, and we are here for Tao of the Day. This is the last day of the week, and so we'll be having a break as per usual for Saturday and Sunday. We do not do Tao of the Day on Saturday and Sundays. But if you have a number for your weekend, come on up, pick a number between 1 and 81, and we will go through your Tao for today. I'm always interested in the Tao Te Ching. I've been reading the Tao Te Ching for about 20 years now, and a large part of what the Tao offers is us to help us to help guide us to living a more reasonable life. So much of what we talk about so much of what is talked about in the Tao is about how you can live a more reasonable sort of measured life, right? Like so many times we get out and we say we got to do this and we got to do that and we got to move there and we got to do this, and we get into this, into the realm of logic, in the realm of all of this emotion that we feel these days and everything. And Dr. Rao is going to join me, and I hope he's going to pick a number. I think he does. Yeah, the only person who doesn't is Bella. Dr. Rao, how are you doing today?
Hi, Martin. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's always great to hear your smiling face, man. How's it going?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really, I really enjoyed our last talk. It really kind of got me ruminating on the
Yeah.
idea of interpersonal like conflict resolution and stuff. It
Yeah.
was just beautiful conversation.
Yeah. Actually, I was talking to my sister this morning on that topic also.
Yeah.
So, whenever she's almost 80 years old now, but I do talk to her about deeper issues of life, all that. She's at the stage where she can look upon her life and understand those things, right?
Yes.
So I was telling her, do you talk to your children about these things and mention that? And she said, it is hard for me to remember, but they also like to show that. Then said, tell one word, like inner riches are better than outer riches. If you
Yeah.
have inner riches, then better, everything will have meaning. That's all.
That's it. Like if we can just get that into everybody's head, like we would
Yeah.
all be so better off.
Yeah, that's what I thought you would like too, Martin, because you're like that.
Yes, yes. I've been following that for quite some time.
Yeah.
Thanks to my addictions and all of those things that I left behind. It's put me on a path of opening to
That, that,
the inner world.
That's it. Your addictions and all that are a reason why you turned into this. And so, in that way, they are part of your experience, but then you have overcome. That's a big deal, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
do you have a number to share with us today?
Uh, I don't have a number, Martin. I just wanted to say hello to you.
Oh, well, I
And
appreciate that. Always love having you on and chatting about Brahman and the Tao and
yeah.
just the inner vision and the reasons that we're here. Like to living a reasonable life is living within.
Martin, I want to tell you about a book. I was not a
Mm.
book, actually, the audio from that I was listening. It's called Be Who You Are by Ramana Maharshi. Okay, um, maybe you will be interested in that because you will understand everything in that book.
I would love. It's called "Be Who You Are" by who now?
Yes, Ramana Maharshi.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm taking a note now.
Okay.
And I will look it up on
Um,
what's it called? Audible a little
yeah,
later today. You keep giving Jeff Bezos the money.
okay. See you later, Martin.
All right, have a wonderful day.
Bye.
So that was Dr. Rao, and he recommends a book, "Be Who You Are," and I'm going to check it out a little bit later. And but right now, I'm looking for someone to come up and give me a number. I love chatting with everybody about what number you have for today, and I think people like Dr. Rao, who has the Brahman, and Bella, who uses a different text. They don't come up and always pick numbers because they have their own ways of thinking about things and their own path and the things that they read. And so I respect that. And of course, they can come up anytime and say hello and offer wisdom to you guys through my platform. And if you are interested in the Tao Te Ching, so the Tao Te Ching translates to the canon of reason, and the canon of reason, what that means, like that's how I translate it. A lot of people translate it to the way, and this is the way of living life in a more reasonable way. As we have gotten away from the heart brain and the gut brain and the body, we have moved into the head, and so we've moved into a more logical way of being. And in logic comes farming. In logic comes systems. In logic comes economics. In logic comes writing. In logic comes everything that our modern world presents us as having value. And yet, behind all that was value. Before all that, there was value. And that's what the Tao Te Ching offers us. That's what Brahman offers us. That's what, like, it is, as Dr. Rao stated, that which is within, which is why I talk about in the in the context of recovery. I talk a lot about recovery. I talk about what it is we recover to, because when we're recovering to something, we're looking within. We're not just looking outside of us from that which we are recovering from, but we look within as to what we are recovering to. Once again, this starts to embrace, and we start to envelop this idea of self and this idea of we are. But we cannot be right without the initial masculine sort of logic. We will move into that from there, right? So when we talk in the Tao, we'll speak a lot about structure. We'll speak a lot about and that's the masculine, right? The masculine is like the house, and yet the Tao is the space within the house that you use. And so if you get working, if you always work and you're always building, you're always doing stuff, well, you're filling your house, and you fill your house so much, right, that there is no space to actually use, and then the house becomes useless. And so we need both. We need both the space as well as the structure, and not just the structure, of course. So that is what we are offered in the Tao. We're offered both the structure and the space. And so we're going to look at a number. I'm going to pick up 51. We're going to move right to 51. We're going to talk about 51. And if you have a number, please interrupt me. Don't hesitate to interrupt me and get a number so that we can talk about your Tao for the day. This is Friday, and so we only have today until you then will be out on your own and having to do the weekend without the Tao, if that's something that is not a problem for you. So definitely come on up and give me a number between 1 and 81, and we'll talk about your Tao for the day. Today, I'm choosing 51. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence unconscious, perfect, and free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of all things. So that's chapter 51 of the Tao. And I'm going to go ahead and go through this line by line. If you have a number between 1 and 81 you'd like to share, come on up. I will take your number and we will return to 51 if I don't get this done before you come on. So don't hesitate. Kelly, my buddy Kelly is coming on, and I appreciate you. Hello, Kelly. Kelly, are you there?
There.
I
My
hear you.
goodness, it takes a long time these days for this to go.
Is it your earpods, or is it the app?
It's definitely nothing to do with me.
No, I know that. I
I'm
know
just
that.
kidding.
It's like you. It's not you. It's not you.
It might be. I interfere a lot of electronics. Um, Hi, good
Good
morning.
morning.
Numbers.
Numbers.
Mm, Definitely something in the teens. 13.
13. It was coming, like 17 was coming to me. I was just like, huh, I wonder if she's going to pick 17.
I think I have done 17 though. Those are my
Oh,
typical
maybe.
numbers, but maybe
Oh,
I haven't because I think that I have.
well, let's see. Let's see. This is 13. Okay, thank you for choosing 13. And 13 starts: success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms. They arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. Initial thoughts?
There's a lot of talk about self love, and at the end is the line that stuck out that, you know, if we can't come to that place where we're able to love ourselves, that's really the solution.
Yeah. Yeah, that last line, love the world as yourself. But if you can't love yourself, and so like in all of this, so we go back to that first line: success is as dangerous as failure, hope as hollow as fear. Like those are things that we attach to in the world. We attach ourself to, right? Like we attach
Hmm.
this idea of our value on those things, like hope for the future. We attach our value to like what we will be, or we attach our value to success that we have had.
Because it's really just not being present, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So you're never actually succeeding. You're never actually anything. But that's maybe I'm mishearing because also like people having goals or dreams. I guess that is really the different a different thing. You're not attaching yourself. It's the outcome that you're attaching to at that point.
Right. And I think, having a goal like in your life, but having desire is a different thing, right?
Yeah.
Having desire for an outcome is a different thing. So let's see if we can kind of break this down a little bit more. So success is as dangerous as failure. I like that. I like that statement.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Because we're so quick in our culture, we can see it. We like to point out people's shortcomings when they quote unquote make it because they're on TV. Really, that means you're lonely and everybody thinks you have when you might not, and the pressure of the world might be on your shoulders. But all we see is, so now you're alone, or now you might think that, well, I succeeded, so I should be happy. So now you're not looking at what success truly is, or it seems to me almost worse.
Yeah, I
'Cause-
think so as well. Because the interesting thing about failure is that you never actually fail, right? Like
and you always
you
have
might
somewhere to
not have
go.
achieved something yet,
Yeah.
but that's not, just because you didn't achieve it doesn't mean it's a failure. And success is one of those things that is constantly having to keep up, because once you succeed, the next thing you do doesn't necessarily succeed, and they're both just tentative things. They're both just things that pass. Because you can be a failure until you succeed, and then were you a failure ever? And then if you fail again, what does that do? And so that's, like those ideas are fleeting.
You also quit trying, I think. I mean, failure can make you quit trying as well, but success doesn't have to be a bad thing. But it's just that what do we think success is?
Yeah.
The word success that we pin to success is really just, well, we made it, we got there, this is the end. Like,
Yeah,
I'll
there
sit
is
around
no
and be
end.
gluttonous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a quote that I have on social media somewhere that's like, praising someone for success or damning them for failure is not what we should be doing, but we should be like celebrating people continuing whether they have experienced either.
Hmm.
And like you said, like so many people can stop at success, but can you keep going in the face of success, and can you keep going in the face of failure?
And what do
Hope.
you do with success? How do you use it? Whatever success means to you, how is it, that you're the keeping going part? Like, are you becoming detached from people? Are you
Mm.
thinking you're better than? Are you separate? Are you harming to gain that feeling?
Which brings up this verse that states, "What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance." Right? You don't go up
Yeah.
or down. You don't put yourself anywhere. Like, you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, and you just are here. Whether or not you've succeeded or failed at anything, you just are here, and you do what you do, and you allow those circumstances. Like, I read 51 for myself this morning, and I didn't get through it, but there's a line in there that says, you let circumstances complete you. Right? You're born like a vessel, and as you fill that with stuff, you get to experience completeness of being you.
My favorite, one of the things I really love about Los Angeles is because, I think I've said this maybe before, but people have different opinions and experiences there. Mine is that anybody is everybody, everybody's anybody. Like, I literally can be friends with anyone there without worrying about where they're from, who they are, what they've done, to a safe degrees. And
Yeah.
like, and because this Los Angeles that I know, like, I have friends who are very fluent, like, visually successful and whatever, but also people who are not, and all the in between, and all the experiences, people who grew up there in poverty and whatever. And like that, it shouldn't change you. It shouldn't make you a different person or to try to be somebody. Like, just no matter what like level of experience you've had in life, still treating everybody equally, you know,
Yeah,
is the
and I see
point.
that as like that idea of standing with your 2 feet on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Grounded.
Like,
Stay grounded.
yes, exactly. Like, I think of a friend all the time. She has a lot of success in business and multiple $1 million homes. Like, she's my one of my best friends. We talk like all the time, at least once a week. And she never says like, "Hey, can I just give you a few $1,000s so you could?" No, we're just like we're equal. She doesn't,
Yeah.
can I listen? And what can I do? Like, is there any suggestions I can give you? But she's not trying to. She doesn't elevate herself, or I don't think she knows that she has so much success. To be honest with you,
Right.
she works
Yeah.
really
It's hard
hard,
to
and she,
hard. Yeah, it's hard to
yeah,
see that. You know.
and and that's what I love about her. Like, I know if I need something, I could ask her, but that's not the case. Like, this is my life. This is what I'm going through. Like,
Right. Right.
that her feet are on the ground. You know,
Yeah. And as are yours.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
I'd rather be two people than be people with things, or you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
And then it says, what does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? So that line, when we don't see the self as self, What do we have to fear? That line really popped out at me when I was reading through this. You have any thoughts on that?
That you're not, and that we're all part of the same. That we are all one aspect is what comes to me,
Mhm.
comes to
And
mind.
yeah, and maybe even in terms of possessing, right? Like when we don't see the self as a self that we possess, as an identity that we possess, as something that can't be lost, right? Like I think maybe it can work on both levels where it's like if you don't see the self as singular you, and if you don't see the self as the possession of yours, what do you have to fear? When both of those things are in balance, when you see that one, you are not necessarily in control of the self that you are, and you are also like at one with all things so that you are part of the whole, then you have nothing to fear. And hope is this space of like trying to go up the ladder, trying to, do something, trying to get somewhere, trying to have a destination.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a
Yeah,
fan.
you're already complete.
Yeah, yeah. You're already complete, and it's interesting that kind of idea of complete. You are whole, and that wholeness has experiences which contribute to it and bring you in this world, bring you closer to death. And I'm thinking about that line in 51 that I read already, which was letting circumstances complete it. And so yes, you are whole, there's nothing to fear, and when you arrive at the place of death you will be complete. There is nothing to fear. That is completion. Mm.
I don't know, because I don't fear death. I fear the sadness of people leaving behind. But that's such a hard word to toss on there because it's I feel that we have infinite experience.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I would say I don't even feel like even then we're already complete. I guess it's like what are you seeking? What do you think you're seeking? Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have our individual experiences, even though those experiences go toward the whole. We have the uniqueness, and like every one of us has created a whole universe,
Yeah.
to hold us. See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. See, it's interesting. These last couple lines like really bring into focus how success and hope are separate, right? They're yours. They're not everybody's. And here we
Hmm.
say, see the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. So it's not about you as an individual. Love the world as yourself, and you can care for all things. You can be present with each one of those.
So it's ironic because we break down the doubt word by word, get nitpicky over like the definition of a word, and then in the end, it's like really none of it matters.
You're right.
You know, like
None of it matters.
stop nitpicking, stop taking everything so seriously. None of it matters. It's all the same. Like,
And I do like I do like that relationship, to be honest. Like I like the relationship of looking at it to let go of it.
yes, look at it till I got it's beautiful.
Like because I don't hold on to these and the concepts that I have from them. But it is good to break apart, I think, to kind of get that broad perspective.
Because that's a source of meditation.
Oh, 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 come back up. I want you to finish that. The source of meditation, because I do want to hear that if you're able to. Oh, give me one sec. There's my buddy. Creed, we'll get to you very shortly. I just want Kelly to land that plane really quick. Meditation, go on.
Yeah, thank you. I remember when I didn't know I could meditate. And because I had an expectation on what it is, what it's supposed to be like, an image from TV or whatever. But even this is meditative. Even this is getting you out of all the bullshit around you, all the fear. Your reality is not needing to be so wrapped up in the pain in your body, whatever it is. And like by just breaking it down and then letting it go. Like,
Right.
and so allowing yourself to experience these states in all capacities. And so, yeah, like even just having a conversation in this capacity is meditative. And I think when we all can realize like there's so many ways that we can connect and also release at the same time, as we are, it gets better.
Yes.
It gets
Yeah,
better.
I like these as that, as like, like shared meditations.
Yeah. So thank you. And
Well, it
I'll
was
keep
beautiful
listening.
meditating with you. All
Thanks. Same here.
right,
I'll
we'll
talk
talk
to you
soon,
soon.
Kelly.
Yes, we will. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, we're bringing Creed up. I don't believe I've spoken with Creed before, or if I have, it's been a while. Creed, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing this morning, beautiful?
I'm
I'm
doing
doing
well.
good.
Good. I'm glad to hear. Do you know the Tao of the Day?
I was listening to you, and to be honest, I don't know too much about the Tao. All I was going to ask you what book you was reading out of because
Yep.
everything you was talking about was spot on, and a lot of different wisdom comes in different avenues. So, man,
Hmm.
whatever that Tao is, I mean, it rocks. You hear
Okay.
me?
So let me give you a little primer. So this is Tao of the Day, and in this I read the Tao Te Ching. And if you want a link to English translations of the Tao Te Ching, hit me up on Instagram if you're there. Just send me a DM, and I'll send you a couple links
Definitely will.
to
Definitely.
hundreds, at least 100 different translations of the Tao Te
Thank you.
Ching. So
Thank
the Tao Te Ching is it translates to the canon of reason, and that's how I translate it. There's a lot of different ways of translating it to the way and other things like that. And it was written in 600 BC, so around the same time that the Old Testament was being, like brought together.
Right.
And it was written by a guy, well, apparently written by a guy, Lao Tzu,
Uh-huh.
and it has 81 chapters. And what I do on Tao of the Day is invite you up to pick a number between 1 and 81, and then we talk about one of the chapters.
Um, definitely want to know all about this because, like I said, in my spirit, it seemed like it was spot on. Now for me to give you a number, is it going to take away from the last topic? Because
No, 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 we're done with
whatever
that. We're
number.
done with that. Yeah, that's her number. What's yours?
Oh no, the reason I'm saying because her number was on fire. Her number was, it was a lot to talk about with her number.
Yeah, well, why
I
don't you
should
give
let
me a
y'all just
number?
go.
What
I should let y'all
we
go because I was actually taking notes with her number. But
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah. Well, my guess is that there's more here for you.
okay, that's it.
What's your number?
What am I just throw random numbers in my mind?
Between 1 and 81.
6.
All right, this one's really short, but it's also very beautiful. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it through. We're going to talk about some initial ideas, and then we'll go through it line by line.
Okay.
The Tao is called the Great Mother, empty yet inexhaustible. It gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. Initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts is could you go over that first line one more time, please?
Yep, yep, yep. The Tao is called the Great Mother, empty
Okay.
yet inexhaustible. It gives birth to infinite worlds.
Well, I'm thinking well, my first thought it must be that the micro, like the macro, the micro, it must be the micro little seed that what they some people call the Holy Spirit or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
comforter. And I'm thinking that no matter where, it's in every single thing, because he's alpha. They say he's alpha and omega, beginning and end, first and last. So that completes that mother part, because that's mother's. Mother is everything. So I'm assuming it means that once well, for me specifically,
Yes. Yes.
once I realized that I was walking in a trance because of high anxiety that was artificially assimilated to keep me confused.
Hmm.
Once I dug down and found a quiet place, I think that's what Mother said. And then once I realized that as I walk in the realm of love and peace, and my view of it, what I'm saying, what I'm saying is this.
No, no, like this is all personal. I
Yeah.
would never,
Okay.
me personally, would never take what you're saying, because I don't take anything anybody says as fact. It's just what they have experienced.
And I think that once I found that, through different through those stressors, ran me to trying to look for a safe spot. And when I found that safe spot and realized that's where so much what I realize is power and strength, and everything is all through love. I realized I can stick my head out every now and again and deal with you folks and not worry about anything happening. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm just
So,
going
so no,
around.
this is beautiful. No, no, no. Like we're gonna go through this line by line, but I do want to
Okay.
remind you that at the end it said here, it is always present within you, and you can use it any way you want. You're talking about like your relationship to your anxiety.
No, I'm talking about my relationship to my Superman.
Okay.
And like you said, I use it whenever I want it. They say, I mean, I get it, but I just don't. I mean, I'm a
Well,
humble person. I'm a very. I don't like to speak and say too many things that's kind of seem like it's superficial or something. Just like it's like giving me a unbalance of power where I'm over someone else or something. So that's why I'm selective on how I say this. But at the
yeah,
end of
no,
the
no. Say it how you
but
mean it.
yeah, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying, once I found my chamber of self and saying got this confidence that I have, I'm very courageous because I know who I am. I'm coming from a non-malicious love spot. So my mother has guided me through that. I'm not talking about my maternal mother that I see every
I
day.
got you. Yeah.
I'm talking about that mother, father, whatever, something inside me
Mm-hmm.
is comforting me, holding me, and having me come out with so much confidence and so much clarity that I'm feeling that, yeah, if you want to, yeah, if your energy is not popping the right way, then yeah, I'm superior. I'm sorry.
There ain't no reason to be sorry.
I'm just saying,
So here we have this, so we're gonna start looking at this line by line, start breaking this
okay,
apart and seeing, like what is this actually saying? So the
okay.
Tao is called the Great Mother, empty yet inexhaustible. What do you think that means? Empty yet inexhaustible. Where
That's
does
what I
that come
said. That's what I don't know what the Tao means necessarily, because you call the Tao the mother. I mean, empty and to me it doesn't represent anything because I don't know what the Tao is. But to me, empty. Now, could you say the word after the Tao? What words did you use again?
from? The Tao is called the Great Mother, empty yet inexhaustible.
Is that considered God?
Well,
I mean, because you not
I
see
look,
because we go
I
because that we go.
so
Excuse
so
me,
I look at
real quick. Real
go on.
quick, real quick. I just know. I mean, I know what the structure of the conversation. I don't want to
No,
go
no,
down
no,
too
no.
many. I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So,
yeah. No.
so I'm trying to keep it on. You know what I mean? I
Yeah, yeah. So
understanding, but I don't
Tao.
understanding. So later on, after we get off of this, let's catch up so I can understand more. So I can won't have to ask so many questions. You know what I mean?
No, no. Like that's what I'm here for. That's all right. Like so, the Tao. The Tao is an interesting thing. Like when we talk about God, depending on how you reference God, if you reference God from the Bible, right, that
Sure.
God is pretty puny, really. Like he is destructive, he is jealous, he is all of these things that, I mean, like if I look at, like God in terms of not liking gay people and stuff like that, I have more compassion than that God. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Agree.
so that God is kind of a puny little pissant, right? The God in the Bible. So depending on how you reference God, depends on what I want to respond to your question, is Tao God? Is Tao God to me? Yes, but not that God. Because the Tao even states in it, like if you can understand God or the Tao, then that's not it, right? Like if you understand and if you can write down and explain what God is, well then just recognize that you're off the mark because
Yeah,
God is
exactly.
bigger
I
than
don't have
that.
a
So
right.
that is the God that the Tao
Well,
is.
just because I do believe that um, my everything, my Almighty is Alpha and Omega, beginning and
Mm-hmm,
end, first
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
last,
Yeah.
and I understand that concept because through His pain, what led me to really feel His comfort. So yeah, the Tao is easily God because God is in everything. So
Right.
that's a gimme for me. You know what I mean? But I
Yes,
just
me
wanted to
as
make sure we
well.
was
Me
under.
as well.
I
Yes.
was wanting
It's
to make
just
sure that you and I was
I
under the
always I
same.
always like to say, like, let's not let words get in the way of a good conversation. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
So
So like
I wanted to make sure at the beginning that we was on the same,
we, we are
standard.
on the same page. This is
So let's
everything, right?
rock. Okay,
So
so let's go.
when we say the God is empty yet inexhaustible, what does that mean to you?
It's empty, but yeah, empty mean voidless. Like it's like there's no ending. Empty mean like a big space to me. Like it's
Yeah.
not empty as far as having nothing in it. It's empty. That means that anything it pours in it will never it can never be filled up, so to speak.
Yes.
So
Yes. So
that's what it means to
empty
me.
yet inexhaustible. It is space that will never be exhausted, no matter
Well,
what you pour into it.
yeah, because you got to put the two things together. Empty, exhausted. Both of those meanings is a big cup. But okay,
Yes, yes. Like, and it's not like even just saying cup gives it
it's
limit,
too much,
right? It's
right? Yeah, give me. You
it's
can't.
it's more than that.
Well, now, mind you, sometimes I'll use labels for the sake of communication. You know what I'm saying?
Of
Just so you can
course, of
for
course.
understanding only, okay? Because I don't use labels a lot, but only for the sake of you understanding. Well, go ahead.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it gives birth to infinite worlds. So it says here, the Tao is called the Great Mother. Well, God is called the Great Being. Let's say whatever.
But you see, real quick,
Empty yet inexhaustible. It gives birth to infinite worlds.
right?
That's potential, right? It gives birth to infinite potentiality.
What's a gimme? Like you and I know this.
Well, yeah, we know this,
I'm
but this
walking
was
in.
written 600 BC. You know, like,
Wow. Yeah, now I get.
hold
But you know,
on.
I just got it, and I wish that I was familiar with that as a real young adult. I almost wish I would have came
Yeah.
up and not in the Tao, just whatever, but just knowing that. You know what I mean? Just that
Yes.
one piece.
Yes.
Keep going, please.
So, and then there's this just final, well, these final two lines. The first one, it is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. The freedom there. And I'm going to tell you, like, so
Validation.
I got 21 years clean and sober.
Okay.
And when I was out there, I was using God, I was using the Tao to keep me high.
Hmm.
I was using the Tao and I was making choices in my life. And the Tao was, and God was willing to help me get high. The Tao God was willing to help because I can use it any way I want. And until I recognized my relationship to it,
Yeah.
I was using it to hurt myself and others. And it's okay because God sees that as neutral. He doesn't punish me, not the real God. I mean, the God in the book of the Bible or whatever, sure, he's a little pissant, but he's like middle management, like chub scrubber. Like I'm out here like living, and the real God, the God that we're talking about, is neutral to our actions, whether we're murderers or lovers or anything. There is no punishment in that. There is no, I mean, there's punishment in
Well,
life,
well,
but there
well,
isn't there. Go on.
well. You're right. And I mean, the reason to make it simplified for me to to understand is that um, God's reasoning is above ours. Period. Point
Yes.
blank. And then the first they say sin or whatever was deciding to choose between good and evil, knowing the difference between good and evil. We was never even created, in my opinion, to really look at it people as white, black, good, bad,
That's
clothes,
right.
no
No,
clothes.
like
But
you said, no labels, right?
because the judging, being able to decipher good and evil, that became the cycle of judging and labeling and anxiety and stress and ego and pride and all these things. That was
Yes.
the very first seed. So you know what I'm saying. So if we practice, if we get back into a love chamber, like a self that Tao love thing, that mother, we get back
Yep.
in the comfort of that mother. Then and then he'll do all that, but she'll do all that for you. Like you don't even have to walk in the realm of that anxiety. If you call it anxiety, that level of energy, it's
Right.
unnecessary and it's really a distraction.
Yes. And this empty yet exhaustible energy,
That's where you should be
this
constantly.
is within you always.
That's what my point is. You should be within you, but because of that judging, it keeps you outside of you.
Judgment stagnates energy.
Yeah, so what keeps you outside you because you're looking around. You're not
Yep.
looking at yourself. You're looking for things to judge,
Yep.
and if you stay into that empty but boyless
Inexhaustible.
place, unexhaustible place,
Inexhaustible. Yeah.
that's like a big pillow,
Yes.
and it's a
And
safe one
yes.
because you know for a fact that it'll never. It's just there, man. And on top of
Always
that,
there.
and you don't have to worry about nothing because everything you're looking for is there too. All answers, all boom, boom,
That's
everything,
right.
everything you want.
Everything.
And
Everything.
basically, you
Because
just if you
like this
walk it,
gives birth to infinite worlds. Is there
well,
anything like that's amazing?
yeah, the infinite world part is the fact that the infinite world is in you, like you're a molecule of all the different type of situations and dimensions and stuff.
Yes.
But you can't pay attention to it if you're looking all the way around you. At one 2 dimensional world, you watching the 2 dimensional world. We at what 10D now? Like I'm just kidding, but
No, we're getting deep, man, and that's the point, and that's the point, and and behind that depth lies the Tao, lies God, lies us, like the
yeah.
real us, not this body.
Well, you never. That's why I said I just met myself for the first time. So not now, but it was a little while ago. But I just
You just Creed, you just cut out. So if you want to land that plane, why don't you come back up, and then we'll finish. And I also want to say that I saw some support from Kelly, who was with us earlier, and you were learning from. So she's giving you some love.
yeah. Thanks, Kelly. Um, yeah. So when I finally found my safe place, where it's an I
Oh,
try
yeah.
not to, because I still have superficial ways at times. I see creep out.
Oh
If
yeah,
I
you're
but
human,
I'm talking
man.
about,
That's all right.
but I'm talking about that I'll see creep out through if I conversate or my train of thought going in a certain direction. But I have control of that as well. But
That's right.
sometimes I choose to do that because it still has a little sensual feeling to it. So when that happens, is when I gotta stay focused on what we're talking about right now.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming up. Thanks for choosing a number. I appreciate it. I do this Monday through Friday, usually around this time, sometime in the morning Central Time. So I look forward to hanging out again.
Yes, yes. Clients is killing my phone, so I gotta get up. All right, thank you though very
All
much.
right, have a good
You
one.
too, sir.
Oh, we're bringing Catherine up. She's got to get her Dow for the weekend. What's going on, girl?
64.
64. I love that you come on all business. All business. Like we don't even want to. This is a
Yeah.
long one. I'm glad you did it because we have a long one. It's a lot of repetition. I think we might have done this one before, but here we go. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. The giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as he was at the beginning. He has nothing, thus has nothing to lose. What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao, thus he can care for all things.
Well, I mean, seems so obvious.
To us, it does. Yes, it's always so. Is this?
Like we have not done this one before, but
No? Oh,
I
good.
super dig it.
Yeah, it's a good
So
one. I
let's dig into it.
So let's yeah. So let's see. So my initial response is like there's a lot here. Like it's always hard like these longer ones to kind of keep in mind everything. But I like this center, like, and I'm going to go back to the beginning in a second, but this rushing into action, you fail. Forcing
Yep.
a project to completion, you ruin what was almost right.
Yep. I
Those
mean,
are
to me, this is so much how I talk about uh, managing your business with intuition.
right.
I feel like this describes it completely.
And so, yeah, so we start at the beginning, and there's these four things. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. And I love that, because if you know that you have taken a wrong turn, you don't keep going there. But so many people can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep going down like a path that doesn't feel right.
Yeah, well, because you got to keep taking action every day. You just keep
Right?
doing it. Keep action every day. Doesn't matter. Just keep going, even if it doesn't feel right. It's because you're uncomfortable. Being
Right.
uncomfortable is good. I'm like, nah, there's a difference there, but that's what I feel like that is about. Just ignore if it doesn't feel right. Just keep going. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is when it's recent, it's easy to correct. So stop
Yep.
as soon as you notice. As soon
Yeah.
as you notice, because it's easier to correct at that point. Because if you've been doing it for 6 years and then you decide finally to, you know what, I'm not going to act, well, then your entire history is like now you have to heal, like inside you have to recognize how to see differently and all of these things. Now you have to break all of the habits that you established over that time.
Probably was necessary, though, for you to
No,
be able to continue forward.
yes, but like just referencing what is recent is easy to
Yes,
correct.
but I
So
think
that
the
is just
recent is still a measure per person, not necessarily a structure of time.
right. What is recent is easy to correct. Just trust me, if I would have stopped smoking after my first cigarette, it would have been easier to correct than after years of smoking. Yet, I needed that in order to get me to where I am today.
Right.
Yes. What is
Which we're
brittle
so
is
glad you're here today, by the way.
oh, me too. I am happy to be me. what what is what is brittle is easy to break, and what is small is easy to scatter.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, when you stretch yourself out trying to make things work, forcing it to be action, 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 you're wearing yourself down. You wear yourself out. You're overwhelmed. It is much easier to emotionally break down, mentally break down, physically break down. And so, what is brittle will break.
It's break, yeah. Then see, this as we move into this next section, this is something that I've always had, because this is what I do, which is prevent trouble before it arises, put things into order before they exist. I don't know how it happens. I think it's intuition, but like I always kind of do things, and then all of a sudden something happens where it's just like, see, lucky you did that. But I don't know why I did that thing, right? Like the idea that I'm doing something to prevent trouble before it arises. I'm doing something to put things in order before they exist. That's just an action I've noticed happening in my life, and then something that I really think that when one does what I talk about in terms of recovering yourself, that's something that can very easily help someone just be more in touch and in tune with that intuition.
Well, not only that, but also what you're saying is you're not worrying about what could go wrong, because you're not doing it out of fear
Mm,
or like every scenario that could possibly happen. You're like, oh my God, we need to make sure just in case the whole
right.
post falls off. I need to be prepared. Like you're just you're doing, like you said, what your intuition says to do. It's not a thought of what could go wrong, but you're like, hey, look, I actually happen to be prepared for that. And that's
Yeah.
such an important point, because when you live in that emotional fear, which is that you'll break, you're constantly worried about it. Where this is like, if you just kind of go along and relax about it and don't worry, you'll constantly be prepared, because you're not going to be living in that worry, fear, overthinking game.
Yeah.
I like
And
it.
then it talks about the pine tree growing from a tiny sprout. We dealt with that just in this, because
Yep.
like the pine tree's not worried about like, oh, do I have enough room? Am I I'm just going to grow. and
Right.
and that's going to happen here. The journey of 1,000 miles starts beneath your feet. Same thing. It's just, like, once you start, you just keep going, like, not in the same direction always. Sometimes you gotta, like, move, but you do, like, every day you move forward in your life. That doesn't mean that there's action every day, but you are taking those small steps.
Yeah. Don't stall out and shut down. Just
Right.
when keep moving means, you know, to relax. Make an effort to just relax. Sometimes you have to make an effort to like chill out a little bit. So that is,
Right.
yeah, part of that. So I just wanted to clarify that some more for people.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, thank you for that. Because it's always hard to be like, you do something every day, but some of those days you don't do anything, but it's not giving up. Like,
Right.
that's the thing. Like, you don't stop.
Right.
You don't tell yourself, okay, well, I'm done. Because you're
Yeah.
not. Like,
Right.
there's always more to go.
Exactly.
Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to
Oh.
grasp things, you lose them. And I don't know, was this you who talked about this? Like I heard someone talking about this recently. It might have been on one of your podcasts. I can't recall. But like, when there's a quarter, like, that falls in between the cushions, and then you go to reach it, and as you go to reach it, it goes further.
Oh, it wasn't me, but I like that. That's
You
my
know,
next task. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, please, please, and don't give me credit, because I don't know who gave it to me. But you reach, and as you kind of reach, like, it spreads that space out, and it just falls deeper and deeper and deeper until, like, you have to get at it from a different angle. But that's kind of how I see this: grasping at things, you lose them. As you reach for it, it just allows it to pull further away.
Yes. Yes. That's so true. It is so true.
Forcing
Great visual.
forcing a forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. That's a line that's always stuck with me. It's a line of the Tao that's always stuck with me. This idea that forcing a project to completion, you ruin what, like, you. It's like, it's not ready. It's not ready. Like, you can't force it. You just have to let it ripen.
And I think it goes back to the beginning too of, don't just keep taking action because the book says, or you feel like you're supposed to, or, well, it says, and the whole time you're going, some about this doesn't feel right, or, it's
Right.
the wrong way. And then you get done and you're like, I don't want to do this. And I just spent 24 hours. I missed a vacation. I didn't go to, I didn't do this. I ignored these things. And now I'm not happy with what it is. And then you feel like worse, actually, in the end.
Right. Yeah. And, like, this idea of ripening, like, and
Mm.
rushing into action, you fail. Like, that's the first line of this section.
Yep.
Like, rushing into action, you fail. Like, don't, so many people, when I talk to them, they're all ready to come up with a solution to get to the end. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, there is no end here. You are where you are, and be here, because there's a message here for you.
Yep.
Yeah. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. What a
Go with
beautiful line, right? The
drive.
master takes action by letting things take their course.
Yeah. And that's, again, I talk about this all the time, but I'm going to repeat it again. It's like going down the river, you relax, but you're aware. So, like, when it gets a little bit rougher, you get your little paddle out and you go along. And then when it chills out, you get out your margaritas and chips and hang out for a little while. And then when there's some boulders in the way, you get your little paddle out and push around. Like, you take action when you need to and relax when you don't. You go with the flow, but be aware.
Yeah, because if you're aware, you're going to know, as things take their course, you are just going to respond to those things naturally, rather than with fear, rather than with,
Right.
you will be like, oh, this is time. Like, there are just times where we know. I texted someone today, and after I texted this person, I responded with another text that said, I have no idea why I said that.
Oh.
And they were like, oh yeah, well, I'm glad that I have this information, like, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh good. Like, I had no idea why I sent that, but here it is. So that was, something. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning.
Oh, that's the tough part, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the tough part. And that's, that is, because I talked about the 4 steps in my last podcast. And
Yeah.
I went into the part of, you're constantly going to be in some sort of establishing of these 4 steps over and over. You're always going to have to, you're not going to do the 4 steps and go, boom, I'm done.
Done.
Got it.
Yep.
And that's what this makes me think of, the fact that you can reestablish that being open and being, calm and being in flow and continue that way is something you're always having to know how to do. So if you can get into that place over and over, easier and faster, it's going to make this whole ride so much more fun.
And then that brings up like this idea that you don't possess this journey.
Nope.
No. And this next line is, he has nothing, thus has nothing to lose.
Yep.
What he desires is non-desire. And what you're talking about is like, don't get yourself all hung up on this idea. Like, just be here.
Mm-hmm.
What he learns is to unlearn and maybe learn a little bit from Clearly Catherine.
That's right. Well, and the big, I got a couple minutes. I think a big part of that is the freedom that I talk about, you feel when you're really in line with your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
is that space that it's talking about of, you've unlearned, there's you're just so centered, you don't think about all the other stuff. You're just relaxed. I wish you could be in that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. No. But, when you can recognize when you're not in that space, you can get there faster.
Yeah, or you can get out of there faster. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then, this is, and this is what I think both you and I do, is simply remind people of who they have always been.
Yeah.
Like, who is that within you? When you talk about intuition, when I talk about recovering yourself, like there's all of this stuff. And I think it's a beautiful way of putting it. Simply reminding people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao, thus he can care for all things.
Yeah.
You care about the core of the thing. You don't care about its situation right now, whether it's making money or losing money or whatever. It's like you care about the core of them, because that is going to bring them in the right direction, not in the direction that maybe they think they want to go, but it's going to bring them in their direction, in their actual direction.
It's not about steering something or pushing or pulling something in a particular direction.
Right. It's about allowing yourself to be brought in that direction.
Yeah. And I would say also, it's not just reminding others, but honestly, I remind myself.
You and me both.
Yeah. Both of us. I know. Like, I remind myself of make sure that are you open? Why do you feel this way? And then, go through that process.
You can come back up. You just got cut off. You remind yourself of that process. I know it's probably just the second half of a sentence, but I wanted to bring you on because I want to be with you.
Oh, thanks. I said, I remind myself when sometimes I'll have days when I'm like stressed or get myself overwhelmed, and I have to remind myself to get back into that flow. So
it's so easy to forget. It's so easy to forget because we get so stuck in the moment, in the body, in the manifestation.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just about like, how quickly can we get back, and how much can we learn from those situations? Because those situations have lessons for us as well.
Yeah. And just even saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm not in flow.
Right.
The faster you can do that, the faster you're back into the flow. Oh my gosh, this was a great one. I love it.
Beautiful.
Love you, my dear.
Love you. I'm looking forward to chatting another time soon.
All right. Toodaloo.
Bye-bye, love. Oh, what a nice day. Does anybody have a number between 1 and 81 before we... we have someone coming up. Allison. My buddy Allison's been so long since we've talked. How are you, my dear?
I've just been focusing in other places in the universe at the moment.
Yes, that is quite all right. It's so good to see you, though. I'm really glad. You're doing lots of like interview stuff. Really kind of exciting.
I am. I love the co-creative process. It's so exciting and it's so fun. So yeah, I've been doing a
Yes,
lot of
it
that.
is. It is. It is really. I like, as you know, like with my. I've been doing interviews for a long, long time in the Chicago art scene, and then with my podcast, and my portrait work is kind of interview-esque, and I love the one-on-one, and that's, I think that's my, like, now that I'm saying it, might be why I like wisdom so much, because it is one-on-one, and it's me with another person, and that's, I feel like I excel under those circumstances.
Me too.
Yeah, and I love it, and I love connecting and stuff. So, number
77.
77. Wonderful. Let's see. It acts in the world. As it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. Have we talked about this one?
I think so.
Okay. Because I thought, it was like, as I said that, I was like, I think I might have done this one with you. Not that I want to change it. I was just like, another one. The top is bent down, the bottom is bent up. It adjusts excess and deficiencies so that there is perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. The master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think she is better than anyone else.
I love it.
Like that, I never crossed my mind that you wouldn't. so, so this one, speaks, like, I get the benefit of having it written out in front of me. So, it's like it kind of covered a lot of things, right? In the beginning, we're talking about a bow bending and like excess and deficiency, and at the end we start talking about like acting without expectation, like there's no end to her wealth, success without credit. There's all of these things that are just kind of like, hey, these things are being. And that's kind of what this really, like, I think all of them really kind of state, but this idea of not trying to control things and allowing just the nature of things to take over. And I think there's a lot, like, we are in the time right now, and I know we've talked about, education in the past, and we've talked about a lot of things where there's a lot of control that people aren't willing to give up.
Yeah, for sure. So there's so much in that. The first thing that it makes me think of is there's one of the students that I work with. This is such a fantastic story that she told, which is part of her life. And she was going towards dental school. Well, she came, so I don't know if this, you can see if this resonates with something that you have found with alcoholics, but she was raised by an alcoholic father.
Mhm.
So she immediately, her whiplash to that was to go into a sense of perfectionism for her. And then, so I don't know if you've seen that with the people that you work with, but she then sort of, plodding through life and ends up in dental school. And all of her achievements, she's crediting to this stimulation of perfectionism, this anxiety induced forward, speed, which she's like, I was studying all the time. I was studying really hard. And the only reason I got there was because I worked really, really hard. And what we're talking about is this exact concept of the bow and it being equal at both ends. And I'm like, well, let's just pretend that there's a reality in which you could have had that same outcome in a flow state. That
Right.
it wasn't necessarily your stress and hard work that got you that outcome, but
And
it
that
was
stress
the
and hard
outcome.
work, I look at that as just being like, that is her manifestation of addiction. That's all. Like,
Well, and it's funny because when I was thinking about it, I worked with her today and I was going to ask her, does that stimulate, because perfectionism to me means fear of
Yep.
imperfect. like of fear of letting someone down, fear of
Yep.
disappointment, which can come from a parental relationship when we feel like we're disappointing. It's like it's a reaction to not wanting to disappoint the ones we love. But then it can become addictive. And I was gonna, oh shoot, no, I forgot I was gonna ask. Can't remember what I was gonna say, but there was something that I was gonna ask her today that was a reflection of that. Because that shows up. It shows up in so many different ways. But if we can recognize the feeling and then at the same time overlap that with this idea that we're supported in all regards, because the bow is going to flex both ways and we get to choose more easily than we think the way in which we create the kinds of outcomes that we want.
Yeah, on all scales, right? Like, I mean, we look at a world that has, excess right now, right? There are a lot of people that have excess and very few that have, and very there are increasingly numbers of people who have excess, and then increasingly also numbers of people who have less and less and less and less, and there will be a bending of the bow here. Like there is going to be a reckoning, right? Like,
Well,
and
it's from the kids too, because literally just this morning my youngest got up and she's 15, and she just said, I don't understand why people hate on other people who are quote unquote different than them.
yeah.
I mean, because my middle child's, well, I've got, my oldest is gay, my youngest, or my middle one's transgender, non-binary, and my youngest is cisgender, but my middle one has some need for mobility aid. And so there's like different piled upon different. So in our family, we're like, fear of different is just fear. But I think the younger ones are the ones that are switching the narrative to be more of a, the other side of the bow, so to speak. They're the ones who are going, you know what? It really doesn't make a lot of sense to be so fearful of something that's other than you, different than you.
Yeah, and I think every generation definitely tackles the thing that the previous generation like presents, right? Like, or the previous generations present. And I think that that's like it is the evolution of consciousness, right? Like this will always be the case where the young, I think, will tackle that which wasn't able, or what came into focus, right, as our, like, when you and I were younger, there wasn't so much focus on different, and then all of a sudden it came to the fore over the last decade, and in a way that it was hidden from us, when before then, and it wasn't as out in the open, and when that opens up, it it allows our children to really kind of see that and be like, how stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And
They
I
see
think
stupidity in her.
you and I, maybe, we grew up and we were looking at like the greedy 80s and we were like, how stupid. And then now, and we are giving in a way that they were not in that time.
Mm-hmm.
So what we got to experience, we said, how stupid, and we started to give. And now what's coming up is this fear of different, and then different is just becoming the norm, right? Like it is no longer different. It is like that is just fear, right? And we
Oh, it's all
understand that.
fear. Yes, it's
Yeah,
just fear and a different expression of fear. And there's always some way to channel that energy if you want to. You can find a reason to hate. You can find a reason to fear. I mean,
that's right.
it's available. You can
What's
do it.
yeah, I love there's that line in the Tao. I think it said somewhere, like, what's the difference between success and failure? What's the difference between right and wrong? Like, whatever. It's all the same. Like, you want to fear, you want to love, you want to do, you want to hate, you want to do, like, whatever. There's no difference there. You just have to figure, like, you get to choose which one works for you. And
Totally.
yeah, and that's, and like the nice thing is that the Tao isn't locked in time, right? But we are, and so it seems like, the bending of a bow, when one goes down, the other is going up at the same, quote unquote time, but time is experienced differently for us. So it takes time, it takes generations, even though those are things that are happening actually at the same time.
And that's actually shifting too. The concept of time is shifting.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, the experience of time is shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It adjusts excess and deficiency so that there is perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. That's exactly what we were saying. How beautiful. Like, we've already kind of covered all that. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have too much. And that's literally, it sounds like a criticism of just like, hey, bitches, put your shit down. You know, like, you don't like, you can't protect your power. Like, your power is here for the better benefit of everybody. The
Well, and
master can
that's
keep
the
going,
other illusion,
please.
though. That's the other illusion that's failing, is this illusion of control of other, because you do not have control over other people, and
Right.
that's sort of like the illusion that's coming to the forefront, is on all levels, on the macro level, on the micro level, like this idea that you can control another person, entity. You can't. You can try out of fear, but you can't.
You know, and I think the real growth that's happening is that individuals aren't just capitulating to being controlled.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the work that you're doing, that Catherine's doing, that I'm doing, Kelly's doing, all these people are doing to help individuals know themselves so as not to be fooled into being controlled, or not to giving up their control, really, like, because you have to give it up in order to be controlled.
Well, what's interesting is now that I'm working, with more people, I get to see the pattern in my own work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting that by the second session that I have with someone, they're like, God, this is so easy. But the thing is, my program is designed to give control back to the individual, right? The whole thing, even though there's structure in it, is controlled by the individual. They're the
Right.
ones who set the pace. They set what content they're looking at. They say how many times between sessions, like they're, and then they go, oh my God, this is like, I'm getting these concepts so easily. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, because you're in control. There's no illusion of control. I don't control you. I
Yeah.
can't tell you what to do, but I can teach you how to shift your energy in ways that you've wanted to.
Yeah. And I think that's the big growth that's happening right now. Like, I think that we're at the, we're the avant-garde on that. I think there are, like, we're not trying to take credit. We're not trying to, we just want you to be better so that the world is better. We want you to be better for you. I always say, like, if you're a mass murderer and you come to me, you're not going to not be a mass murderer unless you decide to not be a mass murderer. You're just going to be a better mass murderer when you're done. You're going to love yourself more. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
There's,
like, I don't care what
yeah,
you
there's
do
one
as a.
more there's one more point on this, and then my time's going to run out, but I think it's such an important point. So another woman I'm working with was talking about a story, and she was talking about a story where her cousin has sort of woken up and had some sort of like mediumship capabilities now, and this and that. And she was talking about a story where her cousin had a vision of her future, and now she's seeing that future come into play. And there was a sense of, she was like, well, if my cousin hadn't had that vision, I wouldn't feel so comfortable in acknowledging this manifestation as something positive and trustworthy and da da da. And with even sort of like, it's sort of like on a very meta level, she thus then given away her power again. And I said, you know what? Don't do that. You created this. You created every aspect of
Yeah.
this. So take credit where credit is due. You did this. This is the abundance that you co-created with your cousin, that you asked for, that you witnessed. It's you. It's not the universe outside of you. It's you. So
Yeah.
let's give you credit where credit is due. Nobody is doing any, like, don't give your cousin credit.
That's right. Yeah.
You.
Don't give your cousin credit. Don't give it, like, it's you. Like, like, all of the people that want to give God credit and all this kind of stuff. I'm just like, it's you, bitch.
It's
Like,
you. It's
it's,
you.
yeah. And that's like, this ends with these beautiful lines. I know you're cutting out soon, but she acts without expecting, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think she is better than anyone else. And that is a master, and that's you. Thank you so much.
Damn, baby.
I so appreciate you coming on, Allison. Love you, and enjoy the snow. And we're bringing Nancy on. Nancy, my buddy Nancy, the energy lady, she's coming on. She's going to give me a number. We're going to have a good time.
Good morning.
Good morning, dear. How are you doing?
Fine. I just had this thing that said Catherine, Allison, me.
Yes.
I'm like, they're talking to me, so I'm just going to keep going.
Yes. We are all
I'm
here.
going to go with number 7 today.
Number 7. We did 77 and now 7. I think we did 17 as well today. No, 13. I said 17. Interesting. The Tao is infinite and eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born. Thus, it could never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desire for itself. Thus, it is present for all beings. The master stays behind. That is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things. That is why she is at one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. See, I have an interesting, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I'm going to read a different translation.
Okay.
Heaven and earth last forever. Why do heaven and earth last forever? They are unborn, so ever living. The sage stays behind, thus is ahead. He is attached, thus at one with all. Through selfless action, he attains fulfillment. I didn't know why I was going to read it, but I think that last line is the reason. Like this through selfless action he attains fulfillment. And I think that's the work that, you know, so many of us are doing right now. I was talking to Allison about the idea that we're all trying to get people to know who they are, and I think that's your journey as well. And as we look at this, so this is the Jane English translation. Heaven and earth last forever. Why do heaven and earth last forever? Because they are unborn, so ever living. The Tao is eternal and infinite. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desire for itself, that is present for all beings. I'm going back and forth between the two. Just
No, that's fine. You're putting them together.
Yeah. The Tao is infinite and eternal, and that's within you, right? Like this
Right.
is what I like to see in this one is that this is a continuous journey. Like the journey didn't start with our birth, and it's not going to end with our death.
You better not. Sorry, I know it's not, but you got to say that, right?
Yeah.
No, what I had written last night, so what's next with what I did yesterday, what's next today? And you just said it, it's letting go of anything. I woke up with I feel like I have a knife in my rib, in the back of my rib today. And I'm like, okay, then I'm stabbing
Right
myself.
side, left side, what do you got?
Right side.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, go on.
Ego and pride. Oh, and I am enjoying, I'm going to say it my way. I'm enjoying the process of cleaning out the sandbox of what I was taught that I was as a career person. Because I went from being nothing to someone to I don't care. And I'm at the I don't care stage. And what I mean by that is it's not my job to care for others. It's my job to shine my light and play.
Go on. Yes. Continue. Sorry. I was excited.
No, that's good. I love that. I love that. Mic drop.
Yeah, that's nice.
And yeah, and so there's that part of my system that's telling me that I'm not allowed to go there, which has been a continuous thing. And I keep saying, no, you don't understand. All I have to do is breathe and it'll go away. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And coming to play because I put something together yesterday and I still kind of went spinning. And I realized that it was so cool listening to, it was just Allison talking about the person who's been affected by the addict. And it's an addiction. It's an addiction. What I call that world, you can either be an addict or an alcoholic, or you can be an enabler. And is definitely we could be a lot of people are addicted to enabling people because then we don't have to look at ourselves.
Right.
And I like looking at me, and I always have, but I was taught that I was too analytical, looking at me, blah 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 blah. And so what I'm doing is just saying, you know what, I'm here to play in the world, and you get to find you, as you play in the same, play in my world. That's it. You just get to find you. It's not a, I have to get out there. No, it's let's have fun doing this because as you know, in the spiritual world, as people grabbed onto spirituality, they got heavy. I'm like that.
Yeah.
No, it's not meant to be. Connecting the dots and plugging into who we are is meant to be fun and playful and joyful. And I didn't know that because of how I was taught. And I'm like, wow, we're all doing this. We're breaking the laws of humanity and going into the laws of life.
Yes, and I think they're just like, this is just the time for that awakening. That and like, I don't like using the word awakening, but that's what that's what it is. I
Well,
mean, we're just moving into a new state.
we are, and it's not. People think it's this world and that. No, it's
No,
actually. My fun is the universe turned us up. The universe doesn't lie. People do. I'm going to continue saying this. And because we weren't listening to the small things, we got flipped upside down. And the people who are hitting their heads and not making it, that's just as important as the people hitting their heads and saying, ow.
right.
And so we're standing up and saying, wait a minute, what? And our awareness by hitting our heads, our awareness is expanding.
Hmm.
And we are, because I was doing that this morning when I was walking, I'm like, the only reason why I'm feeling pain at all is because I'm trying to stay within my little being.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, okay, so that's just the next thing. And to be in this, it's so funny how my system says, oh, you're in a really good spot and you got really great people, back out.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, I'm just going to kind of lay low and see what's there,
Yeah.
and lay low
Just sit
until
with
it's,
it. You don't
yeah,
have to. You
sit
don't
with
have
it.
to act. You don't have to
Mm-mm.
change. You don't have to. You can just sit here because it's not comfortable, because you're in a new place, and we're all getting into a new place.
I want to be more comfortable with being in a new place than no place. My son is moving across country and we keep talking about it, him and I, and he's helping me feel that part,
Yeah.
that movement. And he's trying to force it, and every time he tries to force it, the universe shows him, it's where it's like you're not ready. Bing.
Yep. Just lock it down. Like we're
Right.
gonna lock it down for you.
Yes.
And the universe is so good at that. And that's what, as we move into this next line in the Mitchell version, the master stays behind.
Yeah.
That is why she is ahead. And that's such a beautiful way, because like, you're pausing. You're just saying pause. You're not, and this isn't necessarily staying behind of other things. This is just like, hey, I can pause here, and I can, and by pausing, I'm going to get more out of it than I'm going to get out of just constantly trudging forward.
And you know what? I didn't give myself permission to do that yesterday. One of my friends reminded me of that. I posted something, and she reminded me of that. And that's beautiful because I was taught not to pause. And
Yeah.
that state I'm in right now is it's okay. Find something fun to do right now. It's not work. Just do something.
Yeah, absolutely. She is detached from all things. That is why she is at one with them. The more you can detach from like your desires, your goals, your story, all of that stuff, the more you can be present for that which is around you, and that which is coming, or that which is going, or that which is here.
Would that go, see, the thing that just popped in my head when you said that, because that is definitely it's going to be such a blessing. And I say that I'm going in that direction, is when I work with people, and people are still trying to convince me to stay into that world. When I worked with people, I expanded myself and I allowed myself to see exactly what you're saying,
Yeah.
detaching things, and all of a sudden, the energy shifted, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't do it for myself because I was that person. I don't know if that makes sense. It wasn't me. It was something that I get to do. That was my head thought,
Right.
and that was my training thought. And so when I was going towards me, people said, "No, no, no, this is just for us." And you just said that. Detaching, no, I am that.
Yeah, no,
It
you
wasn't
are
meant,
that. Yeah. It's
it
it's not
wasn't
about,
meant for me. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, it's not about locking it up. It's not. It's
Mm,
about, because it's I mean, we said this in an earlier one when I read 6, which stated, um, it is empty yet inexhaustible, right? But when we try and fill it, and when we try and think that there's a limit to it, then all of a sudden we want to hoard it.
mhm. And that was something I know I was plugged into, and I hadn't realized it till just recently.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful that I can, because I get so peaceful. Like when I get in this state, and I know you can feel it. The state that
I can not only feel it, like I can hear it. Like your voice has
totally
just,
different. Hmm.
yeah.
Do you know that how many people have trashed me for that? And I love this spot as much as I love the high flying, because I'm
Yeah.
high flying still. There's no
Yeah,
difference.
absolutely. Yeah, but the energy lady can't have one fucking gear. She can't have
That's
one
exactly
energy.
what they wanted. That's why,
Yeah.
honestly, that's why I'm keeping it so I can shift it
Right.
to what it really is, because I love what is the energy lady. Everybody's energy. So why not just me claim that I am it? I mean, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah. No, that's
Um,
you. That's fine.
no,
Yeah.
but this is a really safe spot for me to be in, because my friend was trying to tell me that yesterday. It was really cool. She's gonna love that I found it. Um,
Good.
because she sees me as that. And I'm not holding her to it. It's nice to have that person near to remind me. Nancy, no, because I had such a break. I saw a vision yesterday, and she was so open to just having me ask her blunt questions.
Hmm.
It allowed me to see it without her judgment, because she kind of went, no, when she went there. So that's what this is doing. Is allow what you're reading to me is
Yeah.
and showing me is that I'm already at my next level, but I'm allowing myself to see the bigger picture, because you're really not giving it to me. You're just being a mirror
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you and I neither want to change each other. Like I want
Oh,
you to be you
no,
because you
no.
because you did this. You got here all on your own, and I respect that. And I know that anything that I can't give you anything, but you can receive whatever you receive, and I am grateful to be a vehicle for that reception.
Right, because 6 months from now or 3 months from now, you're going to read this to me and it's going to be a totally different meaning, but it's going to be the
Totally different.
exact same word. Yeah,
Yeah. And then
yeah.
this wraps up by saying, because
Hmm.
she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. And this language in here, like, let go of yourself. Like, what is that? And that's just like that identity
It's a
that you hold
human
on
form.
to.
It's a human form. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I hear words, and if I don't feel the words understanding, I keep asking questions. But the
Right.
let going of myself is the man-made creation of me.
Yes.
And it's
Ugh.
more of a conscious man-made creation, not the physical, which makes sense. And if you knew what I was doing, the contrast of what I'm sitting in, it's beautiful. Seriously am in the energies of my family upbringing, but in a much higher frequency of people. But they're
Yeah.
not the frequency of me, but so I'm learning how, not learning, I'm allowing myself to be
Be-
safe in my skin in that spot, because I wasn't as a baby and a child.
Right. And you had, as a baby, as a child, you had learned, because you had no frame of reference, you had learned
Yes,
how you were supposed to act and how you were
right.
supposed to be, and you were living under the influence of all that. Now,
Right.
as
And
you
who I
start,
wasn't correctly being. Yes.
right, right,
Because I've
and
always been
as you start to
defiant
get,
and strong-minded, always.
yeah, and as you start to get out from under the influence of those things, you get to be strong and defiant in a way that isn't in response to that, but in a way that is honest with yourself.
Yes, and I'm going to share this because it just popped into my head, because I know I'm going to be dropping in a minute. Is my mother and my grandmother and my grandfather have all gone. My dad has too, but he's a different energy for me. But my mother and my grandmother, years into over 20 years ago, before my mom passed, she came to me and gave me the baton and said, "You're going to do this. You're going to shift this out." She got very clear on it. I didn't want it, but that's a different story. Now I'm coming around, and my mother and my grandmother are also helping me with those energies, just by being in the space of what they remembered once they transitioned out.
Mm.
And and it's beautiful, because what you just said. So I am shifting the dynamics. My sisters are not going in the direction. It doesn't matter. I can hold them in the space
No.
and said, "I love and
Yeah.
appreciate who you are." So
Yeah.
thank you. This is
Absolutely. I love the work that you're doing. I love the work that you do. I love you, and I'm so grateful
oh,
that
thank
we
you.
get to share this. And like this says here, because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. And that's the direction that we are all, and I want each and every one of us to be able to go in. Like letting go of that identity that we think we are is so important.
Big hug, girl.
Thank you so much. Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful Tao of the day. If anybody wants to join me for one last, I can do one more if anybody wants to come up. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to 51 and just read through that again really briefly. Well, let's see. Oh, we do have someone that wants to come up. Hey, buddy, what's going on? I love having people up. Hello, Sharante? Is that right?
Hey,
Hello.
I'm here. My phone goes to the
Oh,
Matrix all the time. It's
well,
a
that's
hilarious
quite all
thing.
right. Did I pronounce your name right? Sharante, is that right? No.
Sharante, Hero. My thing is, I'm just happy to hear you even say anything. You didn't
Oh,
say, "What's your name?" You say the
no.
name first. So thank you for
I give it
trying.
a go. I give it a go. You know, that's the way we roll here on Tao of the Day. You just have faith in the way things are.
Oh yeah.
So are you familiar with the Tao or the Tao of the Day or anything here?
I've heard about you doing this. I
Oh.
barely understand the Tao principles and stuff like that. I just know it exists.
Okay, so basically, I'll give you a brief primer, and then I'm going to ask you for a number between 1 and 81. So while I'm giving you a primer, you think of that number. I come on weekdays in the morning, sometimes Central Time, and I invite people up to pick a number between 1 and 81 because there are 81 verses in the Tao Te Ching, and the Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the sixth century BC, and that was right around the time they were bringing together the Old Testament and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And so it's an ancient text that really just talks about how we can live a more reasonable life.
Okay. That sounds dope. I like
So
to hear that.
you got
I
a
have the
number for me?
number.
What's your number?
As soon as you said you need a number, it immediately came to me. It was 77.
Wow. It should be said that we read this one already today, but you're a new person, so we're going to have a new meeting. So here we go. As it acts on the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent downward, the bottom is bent up. It adjusts excess and deficiency, so there is perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those that don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. The master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think that she is better than anyone else. So I'm going to now ask you, do you have any initial thoughts? That is a longer one, and you don't have a lot of experience with the Tao, so I just want to just ask, what popped out to you?
Here go. My thing is, I'm a rereader. I was like, oh, okay, I need to see that also in my sites because I need to.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah. Did any line pop out?
It was
Because here's what
talking
we're gonna do.
about the giving, how the giving was. That line popped out. And it made me stop and go for a pause for a second. And I was
Yeah.
like, huh?
Yeah. That happens so much, and that's why when I'm reading this, I'm like, all right, I can always feel that she's not here with me. And so one of the great things is, and this is what I do every day for everybody, is we do just kind of initial thoughts, and then we go through it line by line together,
Okay.
so that we don't have to remember the whole thing, because I can't even remember the whole thing of things like this, because I'm like, the last thing I read was anyone else, and I don't really remember anything else. So I don't know. It was like, I think there was something about a bow. I don't know.
I
So
don't
so
know
what?
either. I just know it's been up and it's been down.
Right.
And yes.
So that's what we're gonna start with, because that's the beginning. And like, I like to clump these together in a way that, like, oh, like this all makes sense together. So as it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent down, the bottom is bent up. So do you have any thoughts on that first?
I will say this. For whatever reason, every time you read that particular line, my phone
Mhm.
goes into the ether, and I don't know why.
Meaning you can't hear me?
Yes, it goes
Wow.
completely silent. So I need to hear whatever that is. Can you say it one more time if you
I'm gonna
can?
do it one more time, and I want to know this because energy and electricity work hand in hand, and the like you you might not be ready for this, but I'm gonna give it to you. As it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent down, and the bottom is bent up.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm going to go into the next line because it connects to all this. It connects to the down and the up. It adjusts excess and deficiency so there is perfect balance. So the down and up is about adjusting excess and deficiency.
Oh
It
my
take,
God.
it takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough.
Okay.
So I can feel you. What's going on?
Okay. So I'm in my hero. I'm in my third eye section. If that makes any sense. So I actually
You're in your what
I
now?
saw it. I said my third eye section in my life.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
I was listening with my mind's eye, not just visually looking around. What
Beautiful.
I saw was a person that's an archer literally
Hmm.
playing with their bow and them being too top heavy where and they're pulling it way too far back that it's not going to really hit the target. But
Yeah.
learning that balance in between and not pulling too far out but not pushing too far in where it's not going to go anywhere, but that delicate balance, that is what that for me is saying
Yes. So
to
what we
me is
have, right? Oh
the
no, go
rich
ahead.
to the
I
poor.
think you went into the ether.
Oh no, and then sorry, and then I was saying it's not about stealing from the rich and to give to the poor. It's about having the money that you have and being, for me, also a good steward of that, and making sure that people that do not have as much do get that privilege to have more, if that makes any sense, and that they need to be focused on, if that makes any sense, and
Yeah.
that helps me turn my attention.
I mean, I look at that, as being like, this is why we pay taxes, right? Like, so that we can balance these things out. And I think over the last, 40 years, as we've been, you know, allowing increasing loopholes around taxes, like that has created more deficiency and more excess.
Yes.
And so like this idea of like if you have a bow and you pull the top down and you hold that bow and you pull the top down, it that top and the bottom aren't equally sharing the load, and the people all the way at the top and the people all the way at the bottom have to be brought closer together.
They got to
Because
bridge the
as
gap.
at right and when they work together and when they move in unison, everything works like a well-oiled machine. Like all of a sudden we have the tool, right? The tool being the bow.
Oh, and I got here. This leads into another thing for me in regards to sin and missing the mark, too, because I
Hmm.
was like archery.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm ready for
So
the next
making sure.
lines.
Okay, so then we go into those who try to control, who use force to protect their own power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much.
You went into the ether again.
Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much.
Okay, if that's the end of the line, I
That's it.
understand what it means
Okay,
for me.
talk to me.
So that is pretty much it. Being controlling is a no go all in between, because that means you're wanting the person to obey and be subservient. That means that person does not have the freedom of choice to make their own decisions for their own success in life.
Hmm.
In addition to giving pretty much the transfer of wealth, that's pretty much what that's talking about. How the people that have a more dollar hero, more zeros after their salary than other people are getting them more money to buy more unnecessary things. And like I said, individuals that have lesser, technically in the regards of money specifically.
Well,
Um,
this could be used as education. This could be used as job opportunities. This could be used as opportunities of places to live. I mean, this could be opportunity or money or even. Like this is to protect their power, right? What we say in the beginning is those who try to control, who
I
use
got you.
force, who use
This is this.
force to
I got
protect their
you.
power.
I got you. I got you. This. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Sorry. I'm having a
No,
whole
please
history
go.
lesson right now. Like in
Yeah.
regards to the Roman Empire, in regards to all these wars that we've
Mm-hmm.
been in, and all
Mm.
of that, and how like I remember going to college, and my professor for econ said
Away in the
that China is
ether.
legit.
Now she's muted. But we're
I'm
good.
back.
You back? Good. China. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying that China was going to become the more of the global superpower, and I was like, okay, and I was like, I highly doubt that's going to actually happen, but I can see how you can surmise that for the fact that there's billions of people there.
Mm,
Um, so that's why I was like, now that actually is now starting to make sense, if that
yeah.
makes any sense, because that's
Yeah.
a transfer of that's transfer.
Yeah. That's power. That's power. And like if you are using force to protect your power, you're going against the direction of the Tao because the power needs to be able to lift up, and you don't want to use force to do that. If you have to use force, then you're pushing someone down.
Yeah, and I see the Tao as love. It's
Hmm.
for me. It's telling me that that's what love is,
Yes.
and that's also why South Korea specifically they decide they're going to use soft power by music and by language and export of tourism
Hmm.
to influence the masses, and it's worked. Let's just say
Right.
it's worked.
Yeah.
So I can see that. I can see that.
Hmm.
I feel that.
And then we go into this last section, and I know we're running out of time, but the master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think she is better than anyone else.
I will say this, that sounds just like me, period. Because for me, I will say in regards to abundance, I generally have abundance. I'm not gonna be, I'm being transparent. And whenever I do have abundance, I freely give of it, whether it's my time, my talent, or things that are technically quote unquote possessions. Really do understand that, and it
Hmm.
rings for me.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and that's you bending the bow, right? That's you allowing the bottom and the top because like if you're on the top end of that bow, then you're allowing, like you're adjusting excess and deficiency. You're doing that naturally just through your giving. And even if you had no abundance, you'd still be able to do that. And like I do that with my wisdom, and we do that by sharing, and all of these things like power, control, and those are the things that like we want to be able to adjust and be able to share so that the whole world benefits because we don't think we're better than anyone else.
No, we don't. And the thing is that I was talking to Lois earlier, and I was like, there was a thing that I saw on Instagram, and it said the reason why you couldn't fit or you felt unworthy and stuff like that is because you were actually overqualified.
Yes, that is often the case. That is often the case.
And it hit true to me, and I was like, that would make sense. That would make sense because I've been trying, if that makes any sense, to do the
Yeah.
conformity, but I'm done trying to conform. I'm just going to be me, authentically silly. Sure, and Tay, you can call me Tay when I'm having my silly moments. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to be silly.
Be silly. We need that. We need that so badly. And we need you to be you because You're not contributing as much to the world when you're just trying to contribute what someone else wants, when you're living under the influence of other people, ideas. Like, we need you, Sharente.
Well, I will be me, and I do appreciate you, Mr. Martin John. You always dropping bars. Like I said, people talk about you in these streets. Good stuff. Only good
Oh, that's so good to know. Thank you for telling me, because like
stuff.
I know I do. I
Okay,
just
like,
show up as myself. I just
well,
show up
keep
as I
showing up
do.
as yourself. Okay.
Yes, I will.
But
I'm
I
gonna
have
keep
an
it up.
amazing day.
You too, love. Ciao. All right. So as we wrap up today, I'm gonna read over 51 just so you can ponder it. I don't think I'm gonna talk too much about it. I've been on the line for almost 2 hours, and that's been great. And I love it that you guys keep coming up. I'm gonna read 51, which was my pick early on. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence unconscious, perfect, free, and takes on a physical body. It lets circumstances complete it. That's an important aspect that I was getting to, this idea of, like, we take on a physical body, right? We're perfect and free already. We're unconscious, perfect, and free. And then we take on a physical body. And once we're in a physical body, we let circumstances complete it. Complete the body, complete that experience. This is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao, because those experiences, those circumstances are going to complete this body, not complete me, because I am more than just this body. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, and takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting. Once again, we have this acting without expecting. I believe I was talking about that with Nancy, who picked number 7. Guiding without interfering, which I just talked to Charisse and Allison about that, guiding without interfering. And Nancy as well. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of all things. It's in you, it's in me, it's in every stone, every table, every wall, everything. The love of the Tao is within the very nature of all things, even the things that you don't like. It's always got to put that in there, because just because we don't like it doesn't mean the Tao doesn't. All right. Thank you all so much. I'm your host, Martin John. I host the Recover Yourself podcast. If you are interested in getting links to the Tao Te Ching, to English translations of the Tao Te Ching, I'd be happy to send those over to you. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. You can find my links here. I take these and I post them on Spotify under Tao of the Day podcast. So if you are looking for all of these and you want to send people to them, definitely do that. I do workshops. I don't have any dates, but if anybody's interested in taking a workshop, I can always make room for one. So reach out to me if that's an interest of yours. There is a free virtual healing session tonight through Satnam Yoga Studio Chicago. And if you want a link to that, definitely shoot me a DM on Instagram. I will be talking a little bit about my work, but we will also be doing a virtual Reiki session. I am a Reiki master, and there will be a couple other Reiki masters joining me. So I will send you a link to that. It is a free session, and I would love for anybody to be able to come and experience some Reiki tonight. I believe it starts at 6:30 Central Time. I believe 6:30 Central Time. So if you're interested, shoot me a message on Instagram. Otherwise, I look forward to talking with you guys again. I work with a limited number of one-on-one clients every month. So if you're interested in learning more about that, contact me through any of the links that you can find here on Wisdom. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so appreciative of the 129 people that came through and gave a little love, and everybody is so beautiful here on Wisdom, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm Martin John, the Recovery Mentor, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.